Here's Spencer.
I am Spencer.
Oh my God.
Daddy, do something for you. Oh my swear.
That is great. You guys gotta come by our table.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Just think about my wife there.
More people in here, so nothing to meet. This is great.
How's everybody doing so far?
Great.
Everybody okay?
Isn't this one of the best cons ever? I mean, I got to tell you, and I mean this, I'm not trying to blow smoke because I wanted to invite us back. But,
We'll see how this goes.
guys, this is required. Oh, great leader. Oh, great leader.
No, in all seriousness, Mike, and you don't even have to be in the room. I would say this to everybody in here. We do a lot of conventions across the country, and there are some that are better run than others. This one is like top notch. It's run so smoothly. There are rides right when they say they're going to be there for us from the hotel to the venue. He's treated us to a very nice meal, so we've eaten well since we've been here. Our table area is like couldn't be better. We have all the room. He gave us a bunch of room to be able to bring all those props and everything. Yeah. And he has been one heck of a host. So, yeah, great show.
Thanks, Mike.
This will be some confidence, but I'll let people as they come in, but I can start us off if you want.
Well, there's only one way to start, Mike.
Okay.
You ready? You ready, Phil?
When I
You ready?
You ready? Now, here we go. Marshall, Will, and Holly on routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft. But 1,000 feet below, to the land of the lost, to the land of the lost. And then Grumpy the dinosaur goes, girl. Good job, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. Mike, did you want to start? I mean,
Well, I was just going to start, and I know we've talked before and we've been, but I watched a lot of this in reruns. I was a lot younger when it was first on TV every week. And this was my big thing every time, coming home from school, running home to watch it in the afternoon. It was on Monday through Thursday locally. That's my memory. And I fell in love with the show like everyone does with dinosaurs and everything that's there. So I guess maybe to start this off, anyone in the room, similar comments, experiences, what do you think? We can start with that and feel free
Sure.
to ask any questions and I'll moderate, or Leslie, if you'd like to pick, as people raise their
well,
hands.
first of all, just to say some thank yous. All those props that you guys see, the cart, the dinosaur heads, this is by Andy who made this for us. Howard White and his wife Marcia, they brought all this stuff from where's Sleestaks?
Rising Sun, Indiana.
He speaks. But they all, Howard and Marcia built the cart with the dopies pulling with the strawberries.
That's my favorite episode.
The pylon, and Chris Miller right here who did the matrix table that lights up. And we have Jack Rudd who came all the way from Albuquerque to be a Sleestak with us today. So hey, the wrap, everything, guys. He didn't bring a thing. So thank you guys. Anybody just want to share an experience that they had with Land of the Lost? Yes, please.
When I was a little kid, because I am a teenager here, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only teenager that's under the age of 18, I had a DVDs of Land of the Lost as a kid, and I would watch them over and over again and over, and they were so great. I remembered so much, and when I saw the props today, it really made me happy, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's the props. It's the props.
Yeah.
Good going, honey. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
As you guys know, this is our 50th anniversary. And Land of the Lost is now, I think, airing on 3 different servers now. The Crofts have their own channel now, and what are
On
they?
Cineverse.
Cineverse and things like that.
On YouTube.
YouTube. It's having this resurgence. It's like a renaissance. We have a huge new younger group of followers that have started, and it's kind of extraordinary that a show 50 years ago, you know. And I don't know about you guys, but did you guys know that Kathy and Phil worked together before Land of the Lost?
Jesus. In the commercial, right?
Why, Jesus? Is that the commercial?
Was it?
Wait, I bet they would love to sing the commercial song.
There's nothing more that I would rather do right now than sing the Jesus commercial.
Please stand up and sing it.
Does Phil
Well, thank
solo?
God now you're actually here because he's been doing it with me when you don't come to the shows. And he
it's
doesn't
not as
know
good.
the words.
I'm not as good. No.
He doesn't know the words. And
So-
by the way, back there to that young girl, you know what? You spoke so eloquently. Thank you for saying what you said. It was really very nice.
Okay, so picture this. They're in a Volkswagen thing in the back seat. Their brother and sister. Mom and dad is driving down the highway, and they begin.
Okay. I like munching.
I like crunching.
We like eating Cheez-Its. Great cheese tastes in every bite. We like eating Cheez-Its. Oh, I like munching.
I like crunching.
We like eating Cheez-Its. I love the wild taste of cheese.
Hey, more Cheez-Its, please.
Great crunching crackers.
That was like a year or two before Land of the Lost. And then we saw each other on, like, we were, getting cast, we were in line to, audition. And we're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And we ended up being on the show together. So,
And the story about how Phil got Land of the Lost, I think is extraordinary. Tell them about.
okay, well, I got the part because I was a martial artist. I started when I was 4 years old, and I trained with Chuck Norris in Sherman Oaks in the Valley. And I consistently went like almost every day, since I was 4.5, and I got my black belt at 9 years old, and that was the youngest black belt that was ever achieved by anyone at that time in the country. So I got a lot of press and was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I did a thing with Johnny Carson, which you can see on YouTube, and I flipped Johnny Carson. And it was a fun skit, and I did it with Chuck. Chuck Norris was on there with me. And it got broadcast all over the country, and the executives at NBC must have seen it. And when they were casting Land of the Lost, they're like, bring that kid in. So
Because his karate, they knew of his athleticism, and they needed somebody to be athletic for the Chaka, role. So,
yeah.
If you Google it, it's hysterical. He flips Johnny to the floor. He goes, oh yeah! He's on top of Johnny. And Johnny gets up and runs to Ed McMahon and grabs him and goes,
You run the game show with him too, right?
With Chuck Norris, yeah, I did What's My Line?
Yeah.
And was it? No, not To Tell the Truth. It was
What's my line?
The one where there's three.
No, it's To Tell the
No, was
Truth.
it To Tell the Truth?
Yeah.
To Tell the Truth, right?
To Tell the Truth.
It's funny, we had the same conversation on the way
Yeah.
here. We were like trying to, was that What's My Line or?
Yeah. And then I
What's
was.
the difference?
I don't know, it's the one where they say, Phil, the real ones stand up, but they
Yeah.
couldn't stand up because
Yeah.
they were all too short.
And I also was on the Flip Wilson show and the Mike Douglas show
Wow.
with Chuck Norris. So I did I did the show circuit there. And then I ended up getting this part. And the rest is history.
And you guys have seen some of the episodes where there's an episode, I think it's the musician, where Chaka talks. I mean, it's really Chaka's show. And all that language that Phil said was a written language, Pakuni, and you know more about the language than I do.
It was scripted and developed by a UCLA language professor. And why am I spacing her name right now? Victoria Fromkin. And so Victoria Fromkin and the Crofts hired her to create this language that was made out of multiple different languages, ancient languages. And it had like a dictionary. And so the words actually meant specific things. And so, it's not like I was up there, jibber jabbering. These were actual scripted words that I had to speak, and I didn't necessarily know what they meant, but I had to say them, and so So yeah, so that was the Pakuni language, which I still know some of it today, but and I have the dictionary, so I can always look.
Well, what's your favorite word?
I mean, I like Oganza Bisasa because that means big magic, and it's
That performance sucks. Could you please do it properly?
Oganza Bisasa.
If I can jump in on that.
Yeah. What?
So as a kid, I was 9 years old, and at some point there was like this spark, like, oh, it's not gibberish. Like he says the same thing from week to week and it means the same thing. It sparked an interest in language. I now speak 9 languages.
Wow.
And that's where it started.
Oh, cool.
With Chaka's, like me realizing it's not just gibberish like most, science fiction, whatever. That I realized one week to the next, like, oh, he said the same thing when he meant the other thing last week, and I'm sure it's lost to the ages, but I was trying to write down okay, that must mean this, and I started my little dictionary. Now of course everything's online, but that's what sparked an interest in languages for me.
Well, our show was written by the Star Trek writers, as many of you guys know. David Gerald was our head writer, Trouble with Tribbles. Walter Koenig, Chekhov, who played, Chekhov, he created Enoch, the talking Sleestak. DC Fontana, Larry Niven. But now Star Trek, as we know, with the Klingons and all the other languages that are now real languages, they have all become. I don't know if we were the first, but we certainly were one of the first to create an ancient language for a sci-fi show.
And then in a weird loop of events, Dorothy Fontana's husband, his dad was the guy that delivered beer to the bar where my mom worked here in the Detroit area.
Wow.
And Bob and Denny, so her husband and his brother, were visiting their dad, and I was translating a Soviet science fiction film screenplay for Bob into English from Russian, and she lost the dad's number, and she found my number in Detroit. So DC Fontana called me to say, can you tell me where Bob and Denny are at right now? And of course I'm fanboying, I've got Dorothy Fontana. So in a weird loop-de-loop, I spoke to DC Fontana, who helped spark my interest in languages, and the reason I spoke to her is because I was translating Russian to English.
Wow.
So a nice little.
She
That is
wrote my
amazing.
favorite episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, Wesley and Kathy, they were invited to go to, what was it, not
JPL.
JPL.
Jet Propulsion
So
Lab in Pasadena.
it's this show, because of the science fiction, has inspired scientists and stuff as well as linguists. And so they went and visited and met with a couple of scientists who were inspired by the show, and now they're controlling the Mars rover, and they actually got to go play around.
Yeah, there were 2 brothers, and they came up to our table at a show in LA, and they go, "We thought you spoke Farsi." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you were dubbed into Farsi when they were kids." And they had migrated here, and because of Lab Lost, had become scientists and become 2 of the heads of Jet Propulsion Lab. And they gave us this most amazing trip to JPL.
They dropped right on our table 2 driver's licenses, and there were actual driver's licenses that were for Mars. It was so that
For the
is
Mars
so
rovers.
cool.
Yeah.
With a picture of them on it, just like a real driver's license. Yeah, it was really cool.
On that topic, I became an engineer. So,
There you
with
go.
a master's degree in engineering.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really loved this sci-fi, and I really loved the respect it gave us as kids. I was 6 when the show first opened, and I thought it was just going to be another one of these stories. They were very popular in the mid-'70s, where you had the lost island of dinosaurs.
Right.
So I thought the premise was going to be they went over the waterfall, ended up in some hollow earth with dinosaurs. And I have to admit, in the first opening credits for the very first show, I was a little disappointed because I saw they were sitting on the dry ground in the raft, and I thought, oh brother, they're going to insult me, they're all dry, they're all sitting there, all safe. But then I find out a few minutes later there's 3 moons. And then you find out a few episodes later that they actually went through a dimensional portal. And that explains why they just were sitting there, because they didn't finish the falls.
Right.
So then I had even more respect, because it was okay, I thought for a minute they were making this dumb, but then I find out, no, it's really deep, really
Sophisticated
textured.
for kids. It was very sophisticated
Really
sci-fi.
It was
for
going to be
children.
like a Swiss Family Robinson with a dad and his son, in the wilderness. But because of David Gerald, because of him coming on board, it became this science fiction show, and he brought in all of his pals. He'd just written The Trouble with Tribbles. Sid and Marty were on Paramount Lot, and they ran into Gene Roddenberry. And they asked Gene if he would be the head writer for Land of the Lost. And Gene says, I can't, I'm too busy, because I think Star Trek had just finished, or whatever, the first 3 seasons. And he said, but I've got this young writer named David Gerald, you need to meet him. And that's how David got the job. And otherwise, Gene Roddenberry would have been our head writer.
Wow. And at first, Enoch's name was going to be Enoch, as a tribute to, because
Gene, back
Walter Koenig was the one who created the Enoch character. And he said, it was a little too gitchy, so he's made it into Enoch. But
my favorite thing with Walter is Kathy and I do the Star Trek convention every year, and we're the only show other than Star Trek that's allowed in, because Mike Westmore, who did all the Star Trek monsters, did our Sleestak, and we have a real connection. And Walter will come by our table, he has this fedora hat on, and he's shuffling a bit, and he goes, damn Sid Marty Croft, I should have gotten residuals for Enoch. I should have gotten residuals.
I talked to him a few months ago, he said the same thing.
Yeah. First of all, the costumes you gals are doing, and Spencer here are amazing. It's unbelievable.
You nailed it.
Please stand
That
up. Please
is
stand
so
up and show
good.
everybody. Would you guys stand
the
up?
hair is great.
Because I think it's important, Kathy, tell them how this costume and everything happened.
Well, I went on like 7 different callbacks to get this job. And I was just going in, like, I think the first couple of ones I went in a gray sweatshirt and blue jeans and my hair in braids. And then my mom put me in like a checkered shirt. And I don't think I was ever in cords, but blue jeans, sort of like how you are. And when it came time to go shopping for my wardrobe for the show, they said, we want to go with kind of what you were wearing when you came in. And so basically then my mom was the person who sort of designed, the outfit for the show. And she would never let anybody touch my hair. Like, I could go into makeup, but when the hair people came around, my mom was like, no, I do wear braids, And I see that both of you do your braids like how my mom wanted them. She wanted them forward, covering the ears.
Yep.
And most, like, if you look at like Little House on the Prairie, like Melissa Gilbert, hers are like way back here, and my mom was like, no, I don't think I like that. I like it covering the ears. So she did my hair every day. Yeah, so Mom was in charge of, my look, sort of.
That's cool.
And we had everybody you can imagine, because it was Sid Marty Croft back then, right? So all the celebrities in Hollywood would show up on our set. And in fact, at our rap party, Charo was chasing Phil around the jungle, going, kush, 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 kush. Elton John came, Stallone came. Yes, didn't he? And
Jim Neighbors.
Tell the Stallone story, shouldn't you, or not?
Oh, at the rap party?
Yeah, the rap party.
Oh, yeah, it was weird. I had never seen, like, Rocky hadn't come out yet, nor...
Flatbush, but...
No, it was the Lords of Flatbush that he had done. And I went up to him and I said something about Stanley, because that was his name in the movie. And he asked me what I was doing at the end of the party and if I wanted to go out with him. And I said, do you know that I'm 14 years old? And he said, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah, and Hollywood.
And welcome to Hollywood.
For you
I didn't go, by the way.
Anybody Days of Our Lives fans out here? They used to watch Days. So, I was on Days I played Mike Horton, but Deidre Hall, who's still the grande dame of Days of Our Lives, she was on Sid Marty Croft's show, Dinah Girl Electra Woman. And I was doing both shows at the same time. In the morning I'd do Days of Our Lives, in the afternoon so in the morning I'm crying that my girlfriend is leaving me and I'm having sexual problems. In the afternoon I'm going, run Holly, run, there's a dinosaur! So Deidre comes up to me, and I'd never met her before. She said, hey, I'm Deidre Hall, and I'm doing the Croft show, and I go, yeah. And she said, I've got an audition for Days of Our Lives. And I said, I know what they're looking for, because I'd had lunch with the producers. I knew exactly what they were looking for. And so I worked with her on her sides, which are the lines she had to audition with. Now, I didn't get her the part. She's very talented. But then she ended up playing my therapist on Days of Our Lives for many, many, many years. And she's still on, and you know,
Wow.
amazing after all these years. So 50 years later. Anybody? Yeah, please.
Do you guys still hang around with some of the childhood actors or teenage actors you hung around with when you were children or young adults?
They used to. You guys used to hang with all the kids,
Yeah,
right?
we had a brat pack of our own when we were like kids. You know, all of us hung out with all the other working kids in the business.
Danny
That's who
Bonaducci.
we had time for,
Lucy.
you know, because we would run into them just because they were in the same industry, you know, as we were. And we were on sets as opposed to being like we went to school on the set. We didn't go to school in public schools full year round. We'd go on hiatus, and then they would put us back into public schools, you know, so.
They invited
we
me.
sort of hung out with our
I
own.
was older, but these guys invited me to a party up in the Hollywood Hills, Moosey Dreyer's house. Moosey was the hardest working child actor back in the day. He was what the shows?
He was on Laugh-In. He was also, he played John Denver's son in Oh God. He was Bob Newhart's son on the Bob Newhart Show. He was in War Between Men and Women with Jack Lemmon. And he's just, his credits just go on and on and on.
But
and
at
on.
Moosey's house, it was everybody. The girl that played Tabitha, it was Little House on the Prairie, Alison Arngrim, it was
Walton's kids.
Walton kids and stuff. I mean, it was like, you know, I was a little older than these
Oliver
kids.
from Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch,
Robbie
Robbie Rist, and stuff like that. So, yeah. But what's fun is at these shows, because you know, we fan out at these shows. I mean, because we get to meet the people that, you know, I'm sitting there with Kathy having at one of the conventions at Chiller. And we're sitting there having breakfast, and this girl reaches over and she's grabbing French fries off of Kathy's plate. And I'm looking up, and then this guy stands up next to her, and it's Tony Dow, that's his wife. And when I was a kid, Tony Dow and Beaver were, you know, I mean, that was my generation. And Tony Dow looked at me and goes, "Hey Wesley, you look great." I go, "We did too." So, you know, we'll sit next to Lou Ferrigno for a week, or we'll sit next to, you know, you never know who we're going to be sitting next
I
to.
geeked out over the Wesley from The Princess Bride. Oh my God.